Hello and welcome to this week's IG Live. As you know, we come here every week and interview wonderful guests that give us inspiration and motivation. And today I'm excited to be talking to Mahogany Mayfield, and she is the person behind the Sis That Journals. And if you follow her on Instagram, you know what an inspiration she is. We're going to be talking about journaling. Uh, hello. Journaling as part of a journey of idea of manifesting. It's something everybody talks about, but what does it actually mean and how do you do it? So she is an expert on this because she's made it happen in her own life. Hello.
Hi, how are you? Can you hear me good?
Yes.
Good, good. How's it
Welcome. Thank you for
going?
being here.
Thanks for having me.
Well, why don't we just jump right in, and because I'm really excited and I feel like we have a lot to talk about. So why don't you introduce yourself and tell us about the Sis That Journals?
Alrighty, well, my name is Mahogany Mayfield, or the Sister Journals, and I am a Louisville native, Black girl, sister friend, homegirl, youth development professional, and within the last year, I've become a journal designer and a lot of other things too, but to keep it sweet.
Yeah. Yeah, you wear a lot of different hats, which we'll get into a little bit later. But why don't we start off with just talking about journaling, because you do create these amazing journals, which people can go if they go to the link in your bio. Of course, your Instagram feed showcases a lot of them, but if they want to get them, they can go to the link in your bio. So why journaling? What is so special about journaling that you made this a focus of yours?
I've always journaled, even like when I was little. I think it was before I started designing journals. So like maybe I don't remember the month, but last year I remember being at my parents' house and going to my old bedroom. And I've always been like a keepsake person. Like I'm like an old lady, but I also act like a teenager at the same time. I'm complex, but I always have like these keepsake boxes from stuff when I was little. And I look at my old journals and I'm like, wow, like I used to pass notes when I was a kid. Like I've always just enjoyed talking to people. And of course, now that I'm older, like community building and sisterhood and all of that. But that's just always been like my personality. Some of my friends are in here now. Hey, Nick. So I've always just been really like I've always had a relationship with myself, which I appreciate. And of course, like at 7, I wasn't saying like, oh, I have such a good relationship with myself. But I now know, like, when I was writing in my journal and expressing my thoughts, and, sometimes it would be juicy stuff, or then other times, I read one thing in my journal from when I was a kid where I started crying. I was like, wow, because I was just really reflecting on some things that were going on. And I was like praying for people in my journal. So it's always been something that I've done. And I feel like as a teenager, I was doing teenage things. So I kind of slowed down on journaling. But when I was in college, I picked it back up. I was really involved in a lot of different programs and things like that. And so it started off me just getting organized. So I was having a notebook on me. Or I remember like in middle school having my agenda. Like I've always just like been booked and busy and just feeling important. And so I would have like my agendas. And then in college, I would take notes on not only my classwork, but just trying to keep up with everything. And from that, I started to like maybe write affirmations or vent. And then I'd say about like 19 or 20, I really picked back up like journaling heavily. And I've been journaling since. And I'm just thankful for it. I'm thankful for the support that I've gotten once I launched the Sistet Journals. And I feel really proud of myself because sometimes we'll have these gifts in us and we'll think that they're just like regular. And it's like, no, this is actually something that's unique to you, that can inspire others, that's related to mental health, that's related to all of these bigger concepts. So that's behind the Sistet Journals.
It's amazing, and that I have to say that was something that really struck me when I was looking into your background. That you started journaling at such a young age, which is amazing. Do you have any tips for people that haven't journaled before, or maybe they haven't done it much? How do you get started, other than, of course, buying one of your journals, which we should all do? But how do you
Yes.
get started?
So I feel like it starts with literally like today I feel. And it doesn't have like I'm not a real like thorough journaler. Sometimes I am, but generally it might be like a quick like I just had to eat right before I had this live. So I'm like, dang, that breakfast sandwich was fire. So I'll write down stuff like that. Or the other day I've been seeing all these people on vacation. So I wrote in my journal, I'm like, before the year's over, I want to go on a vacation. And the other times it's thoughts, it's feelings, it's things I'm trying to process, it's things I'm trying to keep up with. It's all the things. So I would say it doesn't have to be this really dramatic, like candle lit, ambiance, incense going. Like sometimes it is that, but sometimes it's literally like I have my journal here now in case I have a moment where I feel like cringy, or if I say something that, just really I'm like, ooh, that was good. So literally anything. It's just for you. As far as I know, no one's reading my journal, so it's not like I have to prove anything. And I don't beat myself up. Like if I don't journal a lot a particular day, it's fine. So I do think it's important to document, especially life is so full, so much happens. And so I think it's important to write it down. Our brains do a lot for us too, and it's hard to manage all the things. So you may think of something, an idea that could be a business or a thought or a quote. Like there's just so much that we all have inside us. So I think it's important to just really release it, write it down.
I love that, and love that you're kind of saying like it's. I think you're right. I think people have this idea about how you have to journal and it has to be this really like beautiful atmosphere and everything. And you're like,
Yeah.
no, it was right that you liked your breakfast, like because I think sometimes people get held back by having this idea of it has to be so perfect. But like you
Mm-hmm.
said, who else is doing this? It's just for yourself. And I
Exactly.
wanted to go back into when you were talking about manifesting because I feel like I said, I think that's something people talk about or they read about a lot, and a lot of us don't necessarily have a great idea about what it is. Maybe we could talk about it a little more, especially because you are living proof of
Oh,
manifesting your dream because you've done it. I think that's amazing. Maybe you could talk a little bit about that and how people can do it themselves.
I think that it starts with um really having that relationship with yourself. And so there's things that I'm still like getting to know about myself that I'm working through. So it's not like when I say I have a relationship with myself, it's not like I am saying that I'm perfect by any means. But I think that something that has come out of having a relationship with myself is knowing my wants, knowing my desires, knowing what I don't like, knowing what I actually cannot stand. And that has really just guided me. I've always been someone that like I will leave a situation. I was in graduate school. Shout out to everybody that has completed graduate school. My friends have their PhDs. Super proud of them. I was not a grad school girl, and I was there. I didn't make it a semester, and I left. Like it was not good for my mental health. I saw the impact it was having on my body, and I literally just like left that situation. And I think that I could have easily felt shame in that. I could have easily been like, okay, my friends are doing it, it must be easy. But I knew that that's not something that was for me. When I was in college, I changed my major a lot of times, and I actually created my own major. And that was actually, I think, manifesting. People also can think that that means you're just sitting there like, and sometimes it's that, but sometimes it's like this situation is not working. How can I change my situation? So I remember I was an education major in college, and then I was like, no. And then I was a English major, and I took British literature, and I like failed a test. I did not study. I was not interested. And I'm like, this is not working for me. So I literally told one of my mentors in college, like, I just want to create a major. And that was an opportunity. So for me, manifesting is literally just asking questions, seeing what's out there, listening to yourself, because the world is, I mean, this sounds cheesy, but it's really true. It's limitless. Like I see so many people that inspire me that I know physically or that I've met, just through social media, through like deep healing journeys, or like, hey, like I mentioned, some of my friends have their PhDs, and I just think that is like so profound. And just seeing what they've been able to do, seeing what I've been able to do, so I'm constantly inspired, and I just know that if they're doing it, then I can do it. Or when I think of things that I have been able to do, it's like, had I not asked for that or knew that I deserved that, I think that's another thing too. We have to know that we deserve all the things. You want to travel, you deserve that. You want a nice, huge house, you deserve that. You want to whatever it is that you want, I feel like we all deserve that, and that it's very much attainable. There's still like, I'm really proud of where I am, and I appreciate all the support that I've gotten, you reaching out, like all of that. But there's so much more that I am wanting, that I feel like I deserve, and that God willing, I will receive. So that's what manifesting is for me. Is just like knowing that even if you don't know what it looks like I recently moved and I didn't know I was going to move into this place. And I really love my new place, but literally I knew that my lease was about to end. I wanted a larger space. And literally the day I put in my 2 weeks notice for my last job, I literally found this apartment. So like, you just ask for it, work hard. Like, I'm not minimizing work, I'm not minimizing prayer if you're into that. But I just think that you have to know that you're capable and that you deserve all of the good stuff.
Yeah, and I think it goes back to what you were talking about having a relationship with yourself. Like you
Hmm.
said, what's the connection between the relationship you have with yourself and then self-care and self-love?
So I've always been like the self-care friend. Like, people call me if they are going through a breakup and they want somebody to be like, girl, leave. Like, like I'm definitely like, I will hype you up. And I hype myself up too. But that is like, because again, we deserve. So it's not like in a space of being bitter or like girl power, let's be single. Like, it's not that at all. Again, there's nothing wrong with being single, but there's also so much beauty in like being loved properly. So I just feel like when you know that you deserve, there's ways like I hold myself accountable, and that's a part of like my self-care and loving myself. Like, for October, I'm not eating fried chicken because I need a break. I'm not eating French fries. Like, I love stuff like that. I love healthy stuff too, but like those are my comforts. So I'm 5 days in. I've been moving my body every day this month. So I actually went for a walk. That's why I'm like all oiled up, because I just took a shower. But just having a relationship with myself and caring for myself is how I'm able to receive those things. Because if I'm not healthy, I may get all of the things, but if I'm not in a good space mentally or physically, one, I may be so like blinded by just like being in an unhealthy space that I won't even know that it's around me, or I may not be in a healthy space to where I can enjoy it or get more. So I think I answered your question, but just caring for
Yeah.
myself, loving myself, and then encouraging others to do the same. And I know that people have cared for me and that have shown me love. So it's like, if I'm receiving that from other people, I know that I deserve that. And I know that I need to be the one to spread that same love, spread that same care. And I'm not like in a just like a selfish way, but I always center like self-care. But this year in particular, just as I'm getting a little bit older and wiser, no, I'm learning more about care just as a thing, like not just this like bubble bath and take a trip and treat yourself, but literally just like community care, collective care, caring for myself. And that has like changed the game. Like, I feel like I've been able to level up after that, because it's like, it's just so essential. And just to receive that care from other people, it's not always going to be like, here's a Starbucks gift card, but here's a hug, here's a listening ear. So receiving that and giving that has really just caused me to, or really helped me to, I feel like, grow.
Yeah. Can you talk more about that? Because I love how you make this connection between self-care and self-love, but also community care, because sometimes we don't think of those together. But really, like you said, I mean, part of taking care of yourself is receiving that care from the community and giving back to the community. So what is that connection like? Like, you've given some examples, but could you talk a little bit more about that?
Yes, I can give like a small scale example and like a huge one. So something small is like, several people that I love are watching our live right now, and like they have cared for me just by like loving me and being a good friend to me. And that alone is like so big, and that's care, because we all deserve friendship. We all deserve to know that people are caring about us and are praying for us and sending us good vibes, like all of that. But on like a much larger level, like a lot of my work has always been centered around community. So even like the youth development work that I do, it's always tied to like, I've worked in grassroots organization. One thing about me leaving situations, or like being real specific with my work, I've had like a lot of different jobs and opportunities, which has been really good, because I've been able to, people talk about like having a network, but it's also, for me, it's like having a community. And that's something else I've learned this year, is like the difference between like this network and actual community. And I'm leaning way more into just the community. Like, we can have both, but you can just keep if it's just like network and it's tied to corporate ties and work and productivity. Like I want the care, I want the community. And so on a community level, like in 2018, after quitting grad school, I was looking for work and I found out about a collective in the community called Play Cousins Collective. And they were like super duper fresh. Like now, you know, we're huge, we're getting big grants, we have a space. But it started off like meeting at the founder's house, at Kristen Williams' house. And literally, like, this was a dream that she had for her son. What does it look like to have a safe space for my Black son? But soon after that, you know, she started to get grants. So literally, even in like the early stages, she's putting money in our pockets. We're providing childcare. And there were just so many folks that I got introduced to through Play Cousins Collective. Like our meetings back in the day, we would meet at her house and like have a potluck. So like somebody would put on a pot of soup, and always homemade, always so good. You know, the kids would be there. So being exposed to that style of work, like not just, you know, with my family, because I'm thankful that that's how me and my family are too. Like we get together, we have a fish fry. Aunt Keita's bringing this, my Aunt Quita's bringing this, you know, and it's all, somebody's bringing the bottles, and it's just this huge celebration. But to see that in the form of work really changed everything, because it's like, not only are we coming together, we're getting money in our pockets, we're doing meaningful work. And so that really helped set a foundation for or really set a standard for me, like what I'm okay with, what I'm not okay with, because I've seen different, where if all you know is kind of like get it out the mud, think that's what you'll do. But when you see people caring for each other, putting your resources together, it really changes the way that you live life. And so I'm thankful that I've been able to witness that and to contribute to that, and really just like spread that among my friend groups, or even if it's not a friend, just like, you know, working relationships as well, just through a community foundation, through a community lens, has just changed everything. Because then the care is there, and the authenticity is there, and the safety is there, and I think that's what's really sustainable.
Yeah, and I love how you make the distinction between the network, which is more business-like, and a community, which really has that care. And that's amazing that you had that work experience like that, because like you said, I think most people, their experience with the job is just, you know, doing what you got to do to get the paycheck because you have to keep a roof over your head. It's not something where they feel like it's really meaningful, or they have these really great connections with the people they work with. And I also want to go back to what you talked about creating safe spaces, because we're talking kind of generally about self-care and all of that, but I want to go into the specifics for Black women and Black girls, because in the world we live in today, obviously, like the need for self-care and self-love and community care is so much greater. And you have put a lot of work into creating those kinds of safe spaces through the work you do, like you talked about with youth development. I know you have a healing retreat that you're going to be doing, I think, in Houston coming up. And even just on your Instagram and your social media in general, to kind of create these safe spaces. Why is that so important, and what kind of work are you doing to try and make those safe spaces?
I would say that it's important because like the world can be so terrible, and a lot of people are in vulnerable situations, and just like the world can be so terrible. But I've also experienced how good life can be, and how there are so many safe people, and there are so many amazing people, and there are so many hilarious people. Like I love the people in my life because we are just the best. And so since I've been able to witness our just magic and brilliance, I know that while the world can be extremely shitty and unsafe, I know that there's so much safety there. So what does it look like if we come together, if we put our resources together, if we are, you know, in each of our positions, like, you know, whether we're teaching, whether we're a nurse or professor, like, or lawyer, you know, when you have this foundation that's really rooted in being safe, then all the aspects are covered. When I go to my gynecologist, I'm feeling safe, because if that's not, you know, if that's not the framework that provider has, I could easily feel unsafe. If this lawyer is not centering safety, you could easily make me feel unsafe. If a landlord, so I just feel like it doesn't have to be, oh, just working in the social justice field. Like, I feel like we all deserve safety. When I'm in the grocery store, I deserve to feel safe. When I'm going for a walk, I walk in my neighborhood all the time. Like, we deserve to feel safe. And so often we're not. And so what does it look like for us to make sure that in our everyday lives we are making others feel safe with their emotions, with their pronouns, just like with our existence. And so I've done that through, I try to be a safe individual just in how I engage with people. And I don't mean safe just like I'm being like emotional safety and spiritual safety. Like, I think that those things are so important, and they're also very attainable. Like, it doesn't take reading all of these books or watching all these documentaries, just like being a good person, you know what I mean?
Mm.
And so that's what I always like try to do. But when we talk about safety, I know in 2016, me and one of my really, really good friends created a girls program around Black girlhood. And it wasn't around Black girls preparing for college. It wasn't around Black girls preparing for anything other than just their mere existence. You didn't have to be in particular zip codes, because I think that those type of things can also be really isolating. I know the way grant funding goes, sometimes you do have to tailor specific neighborhoods and things like that. But I feel like we have to really think bigger than that. And like, what does it look like for us to celebrate you as a person? And so with GLOW, that was the name of our program, Girls League of the West. It was for middle school age Black girls. It was literally, we had all the Black girls. And I think that that's really radical and really important, because I just think that range is like, that's when I guess when I die, I want that to be something that I was like known for. It's just like the importance of range. I think that it should all be celebrated, and we don't all have to be one way. I'm not just one way. And I don't like to be put in a box. And so I feel like that's a part of safety, is like, however I'm showing up, as long as it's of course kind and, not making people feel bad, it should be accepted. So that's how it is in GLOW, or was in GLOW, once the pandemic ended. Or once the pandemic started, we actually had to end the program. But like with GLOW, I think that something that was so just like foundational about that was that we had Black girls from all different walks of life. And I think that it also emphasizes that, like, being Black and being a Black woman, we're not the same. We can all be together, and there's so much to celebrate within us, but we're not a monolith. And so with GLOW, like, we had girls that were just like when I see them now that I'm on Instagram, because I didn't have Instagram for a really long time, but when I see them, like, they're all like 18, 19, 20 years old now. And so some of them have their lashes, some of them have like long, fabulous sewing, some of them have braids, some of them are queer, some of them are in college, some are doing hair. They're just doing all the things, but that's how it was then too. And I think it's so important. Like, we don't have to just be affiliated with people who are like us, and there's so much that we have in common, but it's also important to celebrate the differences too. Like, I could be around even my friend group, and there's a lot that we share in common, but there's so much that we are different, different views, different perspectives, however you want to take it, like different styles. And I just think that that is a part of safety. And what that looks like now is I work with Louisville Rites of Passage. We're actually having a youth retreat tomorrow at Bernheim Forest. And I'm really excited about that. And so that's for Black youth ages 13 to 19. And that's in partnership with Bernheim Forest, Play Cousins Collective, and Bridge Kids International. And so what safety, what that looks like is just making sure that our activities give range, because while we like to focus on like land and self-determination and heritage and community, those are our 4 domains, but it's also, there's so much range within that. And so just making sure that the young people feel safe. I think that, something that I really try to take pride in is being a safe adult for young people. I think that that's something that's so important. And by that, it's like, if you tell me something that is harmful or someone's causing harm to you, I'm going to have to reach out to an adult. But I think that it's so important that young people have adults in their life that you know, some of the mamas may disagree, but they can see as a friend, you know what I mean? And not like in a weird way, but just I think that you should have someone that like a big sis or an auntie. And I really take pride in being that for young people. And so that's what safety looks like for me in the youth development world. Is like I know that with Mahogany or Miss Mahogany or Big Sis, however they approach me, they know that they can be their true self. They know that they can tell me, hey, I am not really enjoying I don't know, it could be like an extracurricular activity. And it's like, okay, there's other ways. So just being someone that they know that they have options. I think it's really important for young people to know that they have options in life and that they don't have to just be one way. And so being that for young people has just been a way that I like to showcase safety, be safe, and really receive safety too, because I know that I don't want to be in a space where I feel uncomfortable. I know that discomfort can make you grow, but I think sometimes we normalize discomfort because we think that there's no other way, but actually we can all be very much comfortable.
Yeah, I mean, the work that you're doing is so amazing. Creating these safe spaces, especially for youth that really need them so much today. And I was just looking at the time. I know you're busy. I don't want to take up too much of your time, but maybe we could finish off by letting people know how they go about, how they find your merchandise, and how they can get involved in the retreat that you have coming up, and anything else you want to throw in there.
Okay. So as far as my merchandise, people have been really, really supportive with that too, which has been so fun because it literally, I love tote bags. I love a crop top. I have on, I thought it was going to show, but it's right here. I have on one of them now. So it started off just like me just playing around. I made a logo because I applied for an art show to showcase my journals back in March, and they required a logo. So I was like, well, I guess I got to make a logo. Like all of this, and that's something that I was thinking about earlier that I wanted to like say and just share. And I think I'll post about it later. Is like all of this is just super like just like a fun passion project that is really growing and that people have been supporting. So I like authenticity and really like accessibility. And so this like the sister journals, it started off like I started designing journals, made an Instagram so I could showcase the journals, but I still have a website, and I'm like not pressuring myself to do those things. I know that eventually I will, and I feel like I have time to do all of those things. So literally the merchandise is just something fun. I know I'm done work with Steam Exchange, which does like really, really dope youth work and community work around artistic expression, and they do screen printing and art making and just all type of cool stuff. And I've worked with them in the past. So I was like, actually, I'm gonna get some tote bags made. I'm gonna get a few T-shirts, and I posted it, and people were like really supportive. And I was like, oh wow. So right now, I mean, it's real community informal. DM me and I can ship it to you. You know what I mean? Or text me, just reach out. And I've been placing orders. I posted some merch on, I don't remember the day, Monday, after I picked some up, and I'm down to like 2 or 3 sweatshirts. So I feel really proud of that. So it's all just like, I'm telling you, if you have something just like in your brain, or it's like I'm really good at, just do it. People are supportive. That's something that I also like to really just share. Is I think that oftentimes people are like, people ain't gonna support, or what if, just do it. Like I know that this is like again cheesy, but like there are good people out there, and I know because like people that I've met through social media, and of course the people who are like in my real life who I love, but the people that I've been able to meet that are like, hey, how can I purchase? Like I yesterday I shipped one to like I'm not going to remember the city, but some city in Missouri that I hadn't even heard of, and this girl reached out. And so just stuff like that just really reminds me that really like it validates my perspective, because sometimes it can be like real hippie, like we all, but no, like people really are good people. People will look out, people will support you, and so receiving that support has just like been so affirming. And it leads to the You Are Your Best Thing Houston healing retreat that we are having with two of my homegirls. One of my really close friends, Asia, she's from Texas. And then last year I met one of her best friends, Nady, when we were celebrating Asia's 30th. And so we've always talked about, I feel like the girls right now, everybody wants a plant shop, a boutique, a bed and breakfast, a retreat. And so we always talk about these things, a party, a brunch. And so these are things that we've always done, whether it's just like a small group, or in 2021 we had like a really big Black girls holiday soiree. It was so beautiful. And so these are things that we've always like aspire to do or that we've done, like whether it's just with us or whether we've invited, extended the invite to other people in our corner. But this year it was just like, we just deserve, like, I think that something that I'm really learning is that, especially being on social media, is just try it, just do it. There's a lot of people who are just doing stuff, and sometimes it's with good intentions, sometimes it's not, but I know that I do have good intentions. I know that just really being confident in my skill sets, and really just like, I'm not like a real particular like language person, but there's a lot of things that I've just done. And so now that I'm like taking this like real, healing language or community building, like these are things that I've just always done. And so seeing like, wait a minute, like this is a whole niche. And I've
Right.
always known that, but really just like standing on that has made such a difference. So Nady and Asia were already working on their retreat, and Asia reached out and she was like, hey girl, we want you to help curate the vibes. And I'm like, duh, like I'm coming. I want to go to Houston. I love Houston. Love your retreat, love y'all, like I'm coming. And so to see it all just like really happen, like we have been working, and that's been something else that's been really validating for me. It's like right now I'm like doing contracts full time, which is a lot of fun, but also like sometimes you gotta wait for these checks. It's not just like every 2 weeks. So that's teaching me
Yeah.
discipline and gratitude. But my schedule looks a lot different. Like there may be a day where I don't really have much to do at all. And living in like a capitalist world, it's like, dang, am I not doing enough? But I'm having these meetings for this retreat, and so or like meeting with you today. So just seeing that like this is what work can be has just been like a real game changer for me. It's made me feel really just proud of myself, proud of the people in my corner. So when they reached out about the retreat, it was like an automatic like yes. And at first I was just gonna help with like decor, and just like curating the vibes. But now I'm officially on the team, and we are doing this thing, and I'll have a journaling workshop there, and I actually designed some journals that are all available on Amazon. Well, they're all on Amazon, but I need to update the link in my bio, so that people know that like even if you can't attend the retreat, you can get some merch, which is the journals that I've designed. And we'll have one next year. This is like a top secret, but somebody's already like offered to like provide like a big lump sum of money to help us have the Louisville retreat. So again, like manifest, y'all, ask for what you want, surround yourself with good people, put yourself out there. Like I didn't have Instagram for like 9 years, literally, but it was just time. And a lot of good stuff happened within that 9 years where I'm happy that I experienced it in real life and that I didn't post about it. And it was just like, I'm experiencing, but now it is time to just kind of like really step out and shine. And I've seen other people post about it. So I'm like, okay, I'm glad I'm not the only one, but just like this fear of being seen, because it's a lot, you know what I mean? Just like really putting yourself out there. But again, people are so supportive. So now that I am in this space where it's like, this is me, y'all. Like, I love that you were like really kind when you reached out. And I was like, oh, I noticed that you don't post your name. And at first I was like, I didn't even catch the last name at first. But yesterday I saw, I was like, child, she done put my last name too. But it is what it is. Like, when you're doing when you're doing good stuff, like it's better that I am known for this than like some not so positive stuff. You know what I mean? And this is what I do. And I think that, again, receiving support, meeting new people through social media, it's been really just like nice, and just spreading positivity. I think that's really important. There's a lot of like shenanigans too, and I'm not anti shenanigans, but there's like negative stuff.
Right.
And so to be known for something positive and spreading something positive and balance, like that's something that I always try to post and just really like embed in the narrative, is like, because I don't ever want someone to, again, you can't worry about what people think, but I don't want to ever come off like I'm just like sipping tea and journaling. Like I live my life, I have fun, I make mistakes. Sometimes I'm like balling, sometimes I'm super broke, so it just, I think that all of that is related to like my brand, and just like to beyond a brand, just like my legacy. I want people to know that like it's important to have range, it's important to start over. Like there's no mistakes, you know what I mean? And so that's something that
Right.
I value, and that's why I think it's right that we have our healing retreat. Because again, like I said, I don't always use language like healing, but actually no, when you journal, when you have a relationship with yourself, when you're authentic, like that's all a part of healing. And I never really I kind of like in my spirit, I knew it, but again, I wasn't like, I'm healing every time I pull out my journal. But in reality, I actually am, and I am strengthening my relationship, and I'm healing when I ask for what I want, and I'm healing when I'm honest with myself and when I get to know myself. So just doing that work, now is the time to like, no, girl, have the retreats, have the events, post the event, post the journals, just like really put yourself out there. Because the people want it, and that's also been just like so fun, is to see like, dang, y'all really about to come to the retreat,
Yeah.
like y'all really interested. And so that's been really just affirming and fun. And if you're interested, my homegirl Asia actually posted today, we have scholarships available. Asia and I are funny because we want the retreat to be free, and Nady does too, but Nady's like, listen, these girls can pay, and it's not just for girls, but when I say these girls, I'm like the people
Yeah.
can pay, and people have paid. But also I know like somebody like me, sometimes I might be able to pay $200 for a retreat, but if it's free, I'll take that. And so I think that the scholarships, we don't have like, you don't have to explain why you need the scholarship. Like you literally can just reach out. Like if you know you balling, don't take the retreat. I mean, don't take the scholarship from someone that may need it. But if you know it's like right now in this moment, I ain't got it, like the scholarship is for you. So we have scholarships available. And then
And
just,
on the other end, people can donate.
yes,
Because
think,
I saw that when I
yes,
looked at people can, if you want to sponsor somebody to
yes,
go, then you can do that.
yes.
You can pay for somebody else to attend, which I think is really what a great gift to give to somebody else.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm so glad that you mentioned that. Yes, absolutely. And we have had sponsors, like we've had people that are like, I can't attend, let me pay it forward and pay someone else's way. And again, like that's what, through first my family and then like work, I've been able to be exposed to just like that type of like reciprocity. But I think that that's again the importance of our retreat, is just to see that in action, to see community in action, to see sisterhood in action. Like it's not, and my friend Asia, who's going to be leading our yoga sessions, she's like, this is non-performative yoga. So it's not just like who's slim, who can hold downward dog the longest. Like it's not that. Fupas are welcome, six packs are welcome, everybody's welcome. And so yeah, the retreat is about to be, I'm probably gonna cry. Like I cry sometimes, but I can't believe all the love, the support, and I'm just super proud of us for just doing it, because it takes not even just like the work aspect, but really just believing in yourself, putting yourself out there. And we've done it, and it's happening, and we'll have one in Louisville next year. And I don't know what's gonna come next. Maybe Oprah might attend.
Yeah. Well, whatever comes next, we are going to keep an eye on it and we will share it in our stories.
Thank you.
Everybody who's watching, I really encourage you to go and visit our Instagram. You can find all about the merch, the journals, the tote bags, the everything else, and about the retreat that's coming up. Thank you so much for taking the time. I
Thank
feel like I could keep
you.
talking to you for the rest of the hour. I'm going to have to wrap it up just because otherwise Instagram gets a little glitchy about letting me save this. And I want to make sure people who couldn't come on live get to watch this. So thank you for taking
Thank
the time to talk with us. So,
you.
and you are doing such amazing work
Thank you.
that thank you for coming and talking to us about it.
Thank you so much. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Bye. Bye, everybody. We'll have it up on Instagram
Bye.
in a few minutes and then later on our YouTube channel. Bye.